And we are live with Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where every single week we react to the latest Nintendo news and talk about the games we are playing. I'm Brett Medlock, video producer and host here at Destructoid, and with me here today is, as always, Mary Stowe, social media manager and host at Destructoid. How you doing, Mary?
I paused Fire Emblem to be here.
I think that's what you said last week or something. You said something like that.
It was
Xenoblade
last time.
Xenoblade,
Yeah.
that's what it was, yeah. Because, yeah, it wasn't out yet. Fire.
Stop interrupting her gameplay, Brett.
I'm sorry.
Be a gamer.
And then we have John Friscia, indie developer and managing editor over at The Escapist. How you doing, John?
Just loving every moment of life, Brett.
Loving every minute of it. And then we have Brett Larson, the king daddy dilf of the podcast. How you doing, Brett?
What's going on, guys?
Not
Excited
much.
to be here. Yeah.
You don't sound that excited. I'm gonna be honest.
I know.
Yeah.
Tired
I'm gonna
today.
vote you off.
And then we have Greg Bargus, writer at PC Invasion and streamer over at Dynamite Giraffe. How you doing, Greg?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I just
Nice.
want to RIP Panic at the Disco.
Oh yeah, they did
That's-
break up.
That's been
Took one
done
right
for
here.
a while.
You know their best song. Their best song is "Please leave all overcoats, canes, and top hats with the doorman." That's my favorite one. And then we have lastly, of course, Eric on the ones and
Wait,
twos,
what
streaming
song
the
was that
show
again?
live from his super computer. I don't know the name of it.
Sing it
Guys,
This is
again.
from Frozen 2.
This
Yes.
is Spot Dodge. Let's get into it.
The live Panic at the Disco podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, I've literally only listened to their first album, but
the
I
best
remember
one.
it very well. Like I probably know
I-
the words to most of the songs on it.
Probably the same as me.
Guys, let's hop into the main topic of today, which is Fire Emblem Engage is finally out. Me and Mary are probably the most hyped about it. Brett Larson was supposed to play it, but of course he didn't because he's too busy beating The Witcher 3. Congrats on that, though, by the way, Brett.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mary, this game's really good. Is it
Yeah.
meeting all expectations, though? That is the question. So why don't you give me your brief thoughts, and then we'll hop on into it.
I feel like since we were talking in just our little group chat last night, I was being a little critical and I was like, I don't like the story. I don't like where it's going. I don't feel connected with the characters. And then I played for 3 hours last night and I was like, okay, yeah, the story's growing on me. And then I met some characters and I was like, I really like these characters. So I think I just needed to play a little bit more, but I'm also wondering if why is it so far into the game that I'm finally starting to feel okay, this could be really interesting.
Yeah. Let's just talk about the main story for a second. We're not going to go deep into spoilers, but I am going to talk about the beginning of the game and the basic premise, which is there's a war happening. You have to collect 12 rings, right? 12 of the
12.
rings, and they all consist of a character from a previous Fire Emblem game, which is really cool. But that's sort of like the main story. Like you're traveling across this Earth or whatever it is, this planet, and seeing a bunch of different environments, and then finding these characters that pop up, I would say, pretty nicely in the main story. Like it all feels very natural whenever new characters are introduced, and then they end up joining your squad, and you can have your support conversations with them and whatnot. And it's really exciting, like meeting new characters and whatnot. But I gotta say, the main story though just hasn't really pulled me in like Three Houses did. I think Three Houses, I think overall was much harder to understand what was going on. They were throwing a lot more at you, but you also knew that your character, they were with their dad figure, right? If I remember that correctly, they weren't their dad, and then their mom was gone, dead, and then you get thrust into this position where you're controlling a school, and this isn't like that. This is more, there's a war happening and let's get some people to go fight it together. And I don't find it as appealing as Three Houses, and I thought I would, because I didn't think I would love the idea of being the school person, like the leader of the school in Three Houses, but I actually did overall. But what are your thoughts on the main story?
I'm kind of with you, and I know people in the fan base are super divided on Three Houses as a whole, but Three Houses, something about it, like with the story, just pulled me in more because like there was that kind of like mystery element. There was like, what was it, like the Flame Emperor? You're like,
Yes,
who's
that
this
was
character?
like one of the best parts of the story. Actually,
Yeah,
like, who
there
the
was
hell is this?
Yeah, there was a student that had been like apparently kidnapped. There was all these countries who seemed to be at peace and cool with each other, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're not cool with each other. You know,
Yeah.
they're like someone is against the church, someone's with the church. Like, I'll never like. It's one of my top 5 like video game moments when. Okay, which route did you play by? Like, you didn't play all of them.
No, I just did the Red House, whatever that was called. I can't remember now.
Okay.
That's the best one. Don't tell me that's not the best one.
Blue Lions is the best one.
There's
because
no way it's better than the red one. There's just simply no way.
The Dimitri moment though, where you see the switch in his
Oh,
character.
I watched that.
Yeah,
it's really
and, like,
good. Yeah.
Chris Hackney's performance, like in that role, like that moment, I was like, oh my god, like I was really invested, and nothing has happened yet. I'm trying to, like I said, yet that's like really made me be like, oh shit, like things are going down. You know?
Yeah, like that's what I feel like it's missing is that what's it called? Like that like emotional attachment to what exactly is happening with these characters and whatnot. Because yeah, three houses throws in twists and turns, and this game really hasn't yet. There is one thing in around like chapter 11 or something that did happen.
Yeah.
But even that character where it did happen to, there's like fuzziness on like what's going on with them, so that makes it not as interesting. Like
yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, it's like
yeah, and like I'm trying to like I keep reminding myself of that too. Like, okay, like there's that thing, then there's like a couple other things that have happened that I'm like,
the beginning's
okay,
confusing.
yeah, like I asked you, I was like, did you understand the beginning cutscene? Because I'm confused. Did I miss something? And I'm like, okay, so there are these kind of like loose threads hanging out. We don't quite have all the context, it seems. So I'm like, okay, let's keep going. I hope they like manage to like package it up and like deliver it like a really solid ending. But yeah, it took a bit for it to kind of build up for me.
Yeah. And I just don't see this story the way it's currently going. I don't see it having a ending like how the House of the Lions, is that what it was? The red one?
What was the Black Eagles?
Eagles, yeah.
Yeah.
The Eagle ending with a character. I don't want to spoil anything just in case people haven't played that one either. I sent Brett it, and Brett had no context at all except what I told him, and even he thought it was amazing. And I'm like, this is like a really good story. And I just don't see this one going there. Like the characters seem a bit more lighthearted. That it doesn't seem like there's that much emotion behind what's happening compared to Three Houses. Everyone seems kind of happy-go-lucky, which brings me to the social elements.
Yeah.
After playing now Three Houses and then Three Hopes, which brings over a lot of those social elements into that game, even though it's not a mainline game. And now this, like, I'm getting, as someone who's only played the last mainline game and then a spinoff that brought in those elements, even I'm getting, like, kind of tired of this formula. Like, they have to do something different sooner or later with these support systems and the social system. Because there's, like, not really any relationship stuff happening. As weird as that is, because you're watching tons of conversations play out, but like none of it feels like it matters, and it feels like it's so detached from what's happening in the main story. But that's how I feel. But how you feel about the social elements in this game?
Some of the supports, I think, like I enjoyed like a lot of the supports on like Three Houses and Fates and Awakening. The supports in this game, yeah, they're more lighthearted, and I think it depends on which two characters are interacting with each other. So like some of them have like really deep conversations. Some of them are just talking about food, you know, and like so. But at the same time, something about the supports isn't making me want to know more about the character. I'm just like, okay, you talked about a sandwich, like.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Like in Three Houses, like
you guys are making me want to play this game.
In Three Houses, I remember like getting like really attached to characters with them just telling me about where they come from, like their backstory. Yeah. Some really crazy stuff. Like some stuff hinted at like a girl being like put into like a sex slavery almost in Three Houses.
Jesus.
They didn't straight out say that, but that's what the game sort of hinted at. She has this terrible backstory. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Petra.
I know Bernadetta, I think they edited
Oh,
her
yeah.
support though. It was her dad, like there was part of it where like her dad was like, you have to be like this proper like daughter. And like it used to say, I think it's been, like I said, edited since that, like he would like tie her to a chair so she would like sit up straight.
Oh yeah, I remember
like,
that one.
Yeah, so Three Houses
There's-
got a little dark sometimes. Yeah.
And it was great. I think that darkness was awesome because that's when you care about a character, like when you know what they've been through and they're here now with you on this crazy adventure. But when you tell me, hey, how'd you get so buff? Let me watch you for an entire day and try to get buff. Like that's literally one of the conversations.
Watched
And I'm
that
like,
one.
I'm like, really? Are we doing this?
Yeah.
And then there's, and I think Petra, speaking of her, because she was my, and I
Your
think her
waifu.
backstory was that, yeah, she was from a different land entirely that was totally different from
Mhm.
everyone else. So she didn't know how to talk properly. She was still learning the ways of this whole like town of people, basically. So that was really cool about her. And there's a bunch of other characters as well that have like really interesting backstories. And I haven't gotten that yet from this game, which is a bummer because not only do I feel like the social system seems a bit outdated in comparison to something like Persona, but when the support conversations also aren't very gripping or enticing, then it's like, man, this is a bummer, you know?
Yeah. I know some people don't want like the focus to be like the support systems and like the romancing and the S ranks and like that's fine. Like it could be optional, but still feel like good and feel like it could be an important part for those of the people who enjoy that part of the game.
Honestly, the main thing I wish they would do is bring back the battlefield. Like if they fight together on the battlefield, they start to get close in the game. Like they start to become like boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, and then they have kids, all that stuff. But then Three Hopes did this thing where sooner or later a character will come to you for like a side quest. That's like a real, like you go out and do this mission for them, and that's optional. But if you did it, then you would get some cutscenes and some more dialogue between those characters. Those felt enticing to do. Like that's the kind of stuff I wish they would do instead of just like this pause menu, click on a support conversation. I want it to feel more natural than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's how like Mass Effect and Dragon Age handle like companion missions. Basically, it's like as you get to know this person, you get to unlock like quests that are special to them that like help them. You learn more about them. You get to spend more time with this character. It would like increase their stats, their gear, their whatever, you know. But yeah, like you would unlock it by actually spending time with them.
And then it could actually affect the main story as well, which isn't really a thing necessarily in Fire Emblem, aside from like maybe a PNG at the end of the game shows you this is who you ended up with. It's like, okay, like I did all this like social stuff to have a picture at the end of the game. There was no like crazy cool like cutscene or anything.
Those are really nice pictures though.
They are really well done. Actually, this game in general, let's jump to the presentation. I really like a lot of like the backdrops that they did, like the beautiful art, like that the characters talk in front of when you go into like a new section of the map, like the overworld. That stuff's really well done. What are your thoughts on it?
It's a beautiful game. People I think have been a little too overly critical with like, I'm like, okay guys, take it back a notch. It is a Fire Emblem game. Like, you know, like there's certain expectations I have with Fire Emblem. I think this one's like absolutely beautiful. I know some people don't like the character designs. I love them. They're really detailed. They're really bright. The world's really bright in some parts. And like, it's really nice to see this very different set of like character cast. Whereas in like Three Houses, it's like, okay, you're all in the school uniform for like the first half of the game, you know? But it's gorgeous. And I love the map. Like it feels
it's beautiful. The overworld. I was surprised with how beautiful that map is.
Yeah, and like you can fast travel around it. I never do because I'm like I just want to run like around. I would rather run from point A to point B just so I can like see more of it. Brett freeze.
I think
your
he's just
show
really
now.
concentrating on what you said.
There he is.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was talking about the actual overworld before you pick your missions. I thought that was a beautiful map, but you're talking about like the hub, like the home area, which is also beautiful. So
I was saying like you can fast travel on like the world map too, and like I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Now I get what you're saying. Okay, so we were talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
You just run everywhere, and yeah, you can fast travel and like speed up the running, but I don't even speed it up. I just run slowly just so I can see it all.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Speaking of this like home area though, like back at the monastery of this game, it's pretty cool, but like I only ever really do the 4 stores in the very middle, and I go up in my bed and see if I get a random, which is weird. These conversations that happen. So the game has this creepy these conversations that can only happen if you go up to your bed and fall asleep, and when you wake up, someone is staring at you 2 feet from your face. And
Jesus Christ.
it's this weird conversation.
And it's funny that y'all talk about that being creepy. I'm like, y'all never played Fates, clearly. Like,
Was Fates even worse?
yeah, because in Fates, you could invite someone like to your quarters and like have a support conversation with them, but then you could like pan the camera up and down. Also,
I mean, three houses and Three Hopes, I think, both did the staring at them mode, like where you're literally you stare at them and you poke them, like you poke their body and stuff. It's like, what is the point of this?
What the fuck?
But like, I was on my 3DS playing, and I was just like, I don't know what made me do it, but like, I just like tilted like the stick like down, and like, there's the guy.
Oh, it was an accident.
Like, a V-neck on, and all of a sudden it's just like man titty, and I was like, oh, his face was
Stop
like
going
gone.
to the man
I was
titty.
like,
Don't. What are you doing,
so
3DS?
it's all sparkly and everything too. Oh, and what there was something else too. I'll have to go find my screenshots. But anyway, that's what, it's not nearly as bad as it could be, is what I'm saying.
But yeah, for the uninitiated, in Three Houses, and I think Three Hopes did this too, you would go on like these dates, basically, these picnics, and they would ask you questions, or you would ask them questions, and then like you would, if you guessed 3 things correctly after the date, it goes into this mode that's like called viewing mode, and you literally stare at them, and you can like poke them, and then they'll be like, oh, what are you doing? Don't look there, or something like that. And I'm just like, if this did anything cool, it would be interesting, but that's literally all it is. You're just staring at them. Like, who wants to do this? Mary, I guess?
I was gonna say, I remember what the Fates one that really kind of was, I was like, oh wow, with me. Like when I think it's only when you get married, like your spouse gets out of the shower, they're fully clothed, but like there's steam
out of the shower,
and you can like
clothed.
You can like blow into like the 3DS mic to like blow.
Oh, and then it removes the steam.
That's
like this
ridiculous.
The smoke.
But like I said, like
I'm sure
they're
you
clothed.
accidentally blew into your 3DS.
Oh no, I
mean,
I did get married, so I got the scene.
She earned that D.
I earned the steam. I was married.
Dude, it sounds like there's a bunch of weirdos that make these games.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm all for weirdness. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm all for the weirdness. I just don't understand the point of it, because there's nothing that it does. Like,
fan service.
That's literally it. But like, if there was some type of other element where like, if you went on the date and you got 3 of the questions right and you went into viewing mode, maybe they have some type of other deeper conversation after that. But like, no, it's literally stare at this character model. That's like, okay, what?
Some screenshots, admire your husband or your waifu.
Hey, there is a pretty decent photo mode in this game where you can like place them around these different environments and have them do poses and like wear their different outfits and stuff. Did you make like a card thing in that building?
I did. I haven't done like a photo yet though. I just put the little Sami sticker on it. Which, by the way, since we're talking about the base and the Somnial, somebody doesn't even know who Sami is.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
how have you played 11 chapters and not met the cutest thing in this game?
Yeah, like when you guys posted that as a thumbnail, I'm like, who's this character? Like, what is this thing? Like, where is it?
White thing?
When do you see it?
With the glasses?
Yeah, the little puppy.
I'm too busy playing the game to be seeing this little puffball thing.
You're too busy poking people in bed to be playing.
Exactly. I'm too busy blowing on my mic.
Oh my gosh. Okay, in the thumbnail, go to the little, there's like a little grotto area.
That sounds like a Pokemon. I don't know what that is.
There's a cave. Just go.
Welcome to the grotto.
Okay, I will take a screenshot and I'll circle it. I'll be like, go there.
Eric
Yeah.
put the Destructoid robot head on top of him. I like that. Good, nice
Yeah.
touch. Nice touch,
Yeah.
Eric.
You can name it something.
Oh, you can
What'd you name yours?
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
Aw.
Okay.
That's nice.
I'm gonna name mine Jeff.
You gotta find yours first before you name it.
Yeah,
Drake.
yeah,
Find it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play the whole game without ever going to that spot just to make Mary mad.
Gosh.
um,
So
But
I,
yeah,
I had a
Queuing up
question for you
the
guys.
cutscenes on YouTube and watching them while you play.
do what?
There you go.
I said I'm surprised
What?
you're
Yeah.
not queuing up the
I know what he's saying.
No,
cutscenes on YouTube.
It only
and
made-
watching them while you play.
It only made sense in Tales because of the way the game is structured. Because constantly throughout the environment, LB pops up or like RB or something, and you click it, and then it triggers this like 2-minute long conversation. But why sit there and do that? Why not just click play while you're walking around the environment getting extra XP? It's literally just them staring at each other with these like comic book looking panels. And I appreciate the art, but I don't need literally 10 hours of that in a 30-hour experience, which is not exaggerating. So yeah, I beat Tales, which I'm going to get to later. And it was like, guys, I'll be honest, like, yes, this game looks good for a Switch game, but going from Tales of Arise to Fire Emblem Engage, like one after another, like directly, same day,
Yeah.
it was
That's a
very
lot.
noticeable how
Yeah.
technically dated this game looks. I'm not saying it doesn't look good. The art style's fine, but my God, it's a bit jarring, especially since it's like lower resolution, lower frame rate, like going from 60, this gorgeous, I don't know.
I think it's optimized really well, though. My Switch doesn't sound like it wants to explode like it did with Three Hopes.
Yeah,
So-
technical issues. I've only really had like that small stutter when it goes from top down to the battle. Like you'll get this like little
haven't
cut
seen.
sometimes. What? I get it like 60 times a battle. You're lying. Like, you have to be lying.
I just don't I'm just not noticing then.
Yeah, maybe you're just not noticing. But there is one other thing that annoys me. It's usually when it's someone like flying on a horse or a wyvern or whatever they're called. The camera will randomly like jolt up like super fast, and then it'll go like back down to where they are, and that's kind of annoying. But aside from that, yeah, the game runs good. It looks good. I'm happy with the visuals.
I had a question for you guys on from someone who's never played any of them, but I know this game is supposed to lean more heavy into the combat than the last couple, at least.
Yeah, we haven't talked
Like-
about the combat.
Yeah. How is it?
It's a video game?
I
Yeah.
like it.
It's
This
the best
is a
part of the
visual
game.
novel.
I thought it was waifu dating sim.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think the combat and these intense situations that you get in are legitimately like the best part of the game for me.
Yeah, I like them a lot. Also, I like how you can actually just like move within like your area that you can like the squares that you can move to instead of like drawing the line every time you
Oh,
can actually
yeah,
just walk. I was like,
it's-
ooh.
I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but now it just feels natural to walk there instead of like drawing the line and then watching them walk. But
Yeah.
but every once in a while it'll still do the line. I'm not sure why it does that, but it does switch to the line every now and then.
Yeah. I like the engage mechanic more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
worried that was gonna feel like really like gimmicky, because I was already concerned with like the past heroes. I was like, okay, this is the gimmick. It's gonna feel super cheesy to be summoning like Marth and Roy and like all of them. But it actually like is really cool.
It is. It is.
And it
really
feels
cool.
really natural. It's just like, okay, like you pair people up and then they get like these really cool abilities. They're unique to whatever emblem they're paired with, and like it changes their appearance a little bit. So it's basically kind of like a boosted mode almost.
Yeah.
for
And
a
like
bit.
some of the attacks that you get whenever you use the rings, like the engage mode, are really
Mhm.
awesome. Like teleporting across the whole map and like killing the boss almost with like one hit. Like that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And then that character ended up dying because they're surrounded by a bunch of bad guys while the whole other team is on the other side of the map. But yeah, it's really cool. Like the engage, at least I think it is.
I like it.
I have a few like characters together that like they're like set. Like there's no way I'm changing them. Which is Celica and Celine. I think that's what her name is. They're just like they always the MVP of the match for me. Like they do so many like they take out so many characters. And then I really like my main dude. What's his name? Alir and Marth.
Alir.
I think
Yeah.
they're really good together. So yeah, it's really awesome having a bunch of different characters that all do like different things, but in some situations you're like, I have to take them this way because I got to do this over here and that, or I have to take them that way because they're doing this over there. And then they do things that mix it up, like the pushback mechanic that I forgot was in Three Houses completely. I like asked Mary, was like, is this in the other game? I don't even remember. And then like using the catapults on the battlefield. And then I just did a level where you're literally, instead of fighting, your goal is to simply run away. Like, is to get from one side of the map to the other and only fight who you have to. And then behind you is a stampede of enemies that if you get caught in their crossfire or their area where they can attack, you're almost guaranteed dead. I thought that was really cool, like changing up the goal of the match.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, and there was, I'm like ahead of you, so I won't talk about it like too much, but there was one map last night that was like, I'm having to think a little more, and it threw like some new elements into it as well. And I was like, oh boy, this map got real intense real quick.
Really?
Yeah.
I always get so intimidated when the match just starts and like all the characters that you can like hit someone with or that you can actually get to, it does like a chip damage on them, like it's nothing, and I'm like, how am I gonna do this? Like I texted you and I'm like, all of a sudden there's this massive difficulty spike. I don't even know, like, am I supposed to, like, did I skip something? Because I've been doing the optional stuff, and then I just powered through it. We ended up getting through it. A few characters died, but you know, it was like really intense the whole match because I had to think, I gotta do this with you, gotta do this with you, and it's really satisfying getting one hit like KOs, like when you have a character that can just walk up to someone and just one hit them and they're dead.
Yeah, or like a nice, like unexpected crit. I'm just like, ooh,
Yes.
I'm like, thank you. Like I really needed that crit, and you did it.
Isn't the
Yeah.
combat like the overarching combat, like sword beats axe beats shield or
Spear.
something like that?
Yeah, it's a triangle.
No, the weapon
Okay.
triangle. So
Which is really cool, I think. I'm glad it's more prominent in this game compared to Three Houses.
I was gonna ask what you think about the martial monk class.
I don't remember. What
Martial
character is that?
heal.
monk.
Yeah, that's what they call the healers.
I imagine more like a monk with like a gun, like or something. I don't know. Like,
You marshal it down.
It's like you got
Bring with
stabs,
me.
but then you can also have scrolls, and like you start with a character who like can basically like take a hit for somebody if they're like adjacent to them. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about my healer being the one to take a hit.
Yeah, no,
It
that's
kind of scares
no.
me.
That's your Barrett from Final Fantasy VII. He was my tank that would just take all the
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah. But I gotta say, the healing class, if that's what you're talking about, I haven't paid that much attention. It kind of confuses me because I don't understand. Like every time I go to use a heal, it keeps saying like a discard or something. So I'm just kind of confused. So I just sort of been ignoring the healing person, and I just took them out of my whole thing. And then everyone in my crew now just has heals on them. So I don't even need a healer.
Like you're trying to use like the staff to heal other people.
Yeah, like I'm trying to walk up to someone and heal them, and it's like saying discard for some
Are
reason.
they
I'm like, what are you-
like?
Yeah,
Are they like either?
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I'm just confused or stupid or what, but I've been able to
I don't
make it through
know.
without a healer, so
Okay.
I'm making it work. I kind of want to get another archer though, because I've only been using one, and I feel like I need another, but they're pretty weak. Like they die fast. Like you have to stay like back, like you're supposed to when you're an archer. But sometimes like, you get in a situation where they
My
can't stay
archers-
back.
My archer's a badass. He does just fine.
You using the blue-haired guy?
Yeah.
I'm using the orange-haired girl.
Okay.
Because early in the game, when you meet characters, you're with them for longer. So then even though some new person comes along, you don't want to change them. Even though they're usually a higher level, it's like, I'd rather use my team that I've been using because I know how to use, like, they're a piece of me now. I can't just let them go.
Yeah. I knew I was gonna use him, and I knew I was gonna use the other one that you meet, like right after. So
Yeah. Well, that has been our review discussion on Fire Emblem Engage. Unfortunately, we got to move on to other topics because it's been a
Fireside
minute now.
chat with Mary and Brett.
Yep.
Wait, I want to just add one thing real quick. Basically, just repeating what I said in our own little group chat, that like Fire Emblem Engage actually sounds a little more attractive to me, hearing that the story isn't very good. Because usually the story is very important to me. Like, you know, I just played like 10 Yakuza games or whatever. But with Fire Emblem Three Houses, I was always like, man, there's 3 storylines. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
there's no way on this earth I'm gonna play a game this big more than once in the first place, let alone
Dang
3
it.
times.
You're
I-
crazy, Mary. I can't believe you did that. One
Very
was
special.
plenty for me. Like
Yeah.
one was I'm done. I uninstalled the game, never played it again.
Yeah.
Can't believe
So
you.
the fact that like apparently Engage just sort of strips a lot of that back out and kind of goes old school makes it a little more attractive to me. Like, there's still the fact that like I've always hated permadeath and I'm too stubborn to turn it off. So like
You can shut it off.
maybe I'd still end up hating myself if I did try to play it. But
Honestly,
Okay, if
I'm a
I
little
can do
more interested
casual
in this
mode,
one.
so can you.
No, but
Eh.
like the challenge, like I got through most maps so far with either no one dying or just like 1, maybe 2, and I feel like if I truly wanted to, I could have stopped them from dying. So I don't think that permadeath would be that bad in this game, at least all the way up to like chapter 11. I'm sure it gets much harder.
Well,
But
we'll
yeah, still play it. You could, dude. Honestly, the combat like and the strategy elements are so good. I think you would get a lot of enjoyment out of this game. Skipping all the just skipping the cutscenes, skipping the social elements, just working on your characters, upgrading them, and just like playing the maps, like doing the strategy part.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. So maybe when it goes on sale someday, I'll check it out.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll ever go on sale, but
Well, Three
it's
Houses
on
has
sale
seen
right now,
some
look.
sales, I think.
yeah, Nintendo
It's on
they'll
sale
do
for
like their
$59.99.
yeah. They'll do like maybe $20 off around Christmas time or something.
Isn't that sad though? I have noticed that like games now that are listed on sale are like, 10-15% off, and they're $59.99. I'm like, ah,
Yeah, that's funny.
this
Got
is the
me
world
again.
we've come to. Son of a
Yep.
bitch.
Oh well. Yeah.
Guys, one quick shout out I wanted to do was that Persona 3 and Persona 4 are now out on Nintendo Switch, 2 of the best JRPGs ever. So definitely go play those if you haven't. I still would recommend playing Persona 4 Golden and Golden.
Yeah.
I said Golding on accident.
That one too.
And then waiting potentially for a Persona 3 remake because it is rumored, and I can't fully recommend Persona 3 Portable because of the elements that it's
can't.
missing. I just can't. Play Fez, Mary.
See,
Play Fez.
Ugh. And then have
Play
no
Persona
control
4
over your
first.
party.
Yeah, just turn the difficulty down and enjoy it for what it is. You know, John, that's all you gotta do. You can't control your party, but there's better elements in the game.
Whatever.
But yeah, those are 2 great games. If you have a Switch or you have Game Pass, play them. They're awesome. Also, this one's for Brett Larson because I know he beat this game. He could probably share his thoughts on it. Trek to Yomi is coming to Switch on January 30th. Brett, do you recommend this game?
Yeah, I do. This is one of the little indie games that I enjoyed from last year, or like indie style game. I don't even know if this is an indie game, I think. But it was that same style, like side scrolling, action platformer kind of game. And
Only black and white.
only black and white the whole way through. And it's like the whole samurai thing. And the main issue with the game was that the combat could be difficult. Like you'd be doing just fine, and then you'd get overwhelmed on both sides, and all of a sudden it's like impossible. So I actually watched a review before I started, and he recommended just dropping it to easy because it actually
It feels like normal mode.
it feels like a normal mode, and it completely cures all the issues with combat. So I would recommend that. I know some people just are against dropping it to easy, but I had so much better experience with it when I did drop it to easy. But it's cool. Like it starts as just like a basic like a basic story, and then it kind of starts getting into like the supernatural stuff. And I won't, of course, say anything more than that because of spoilers. But it was a cool story. I enjoyed it, and the Switch feels like a perfect home for it. I mean, all these types of games like feel like they would be just right at home on the Switch, but this really does feel like that kind of game that's almost kind of was made for the Switch. But yeah, I don't know how, is it $20, $30? I don't even know if we have a price on it.
I didn't look up the price.
I think it was a $30
probably
game.
20. Oh, 30.
Are they 30?
Let me check.
Are they each 30?
Oh wait, we're talking about
Trek to Yomi.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, Trek to Yomi,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, John
I'm
didn't
still
listen to
thinking-
me talk for the last 10
No.
minutes.
I was thinking about Persona 3 portable this whole time.
You're good. You're good. I can't remember how much it is, but it was worth what I paid for it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't super long. It's cool. Some of the visuals are really like unique, where you'll be walking side to side,
$20.
and then
20?
20, perfect.
Yeah.
And then it'll do that like 2D, 3D thing where it'll start running either towards or away from the camera. And it zooms in on him and then like fades out on stuff that's close to you. It's really cool how they do some of the visuals with the camera work. So yeah, I liked it quite a bit.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually played. I don't even think I ever told you, but I actually played like an hour and a half, and I enjoyed what I played. I just literally never got back to it. But I want to beat it before it's taken off of Game Pass. But
It's a short game.
Yeah. Next up, another shout out. This episode is just full of shout outs, and then we're gonna get to what we're playing. Life is Strange 2 is coming to Switch on February 2nd. That is the only Life is Strange game I haven't. Oh wait, no, I didn't play True Colors either. So yeah, I heard it's good, but I always saw that it was like really long for this style of game, and that kind of like turned me away because I don't really like long story games like this. And I just sort of got out of that style of game after playing every single Telltale game. But I heard it's good, and maybe I'll play it sooner or later. But yeah, has anyone played this? Nope.
That's
I
great.
remember I did play Life is Strange 2. I did not. I played the first one and Before the Storm.
Same.
I
They're both
think
really
I'm the
good.
only
I was-
person. I think I'm the only person
gonna
on
say, I've
Earth
just
that
played the first
played the
one.
first one and couldn't get into it. Like I played like 5
Really?
hours and couldn't get into it, which is I know
It's
most
good.
people love that game. So I
think it was
guess
kind of
think I'm
fresh at
only
the
one.
time. Like there was a
Um,
gap between like all the Telltale games, I think. Like when
I think
they
it came
went
out right in the heat
defunct.
from my memory.
Mhm.
It was
Was
right
it?
in the heat of all the Telltale stuff. The
I
first
thought it
one.
was right as they were like getting into all that turmoil about going bankrupt, and
No, because they
and
still had a
it
bunch
kind
come
of
out
filled
after
a
that.
place.
They had like tons of games come out after Life is Strange 1. I promise you.
Promise me then.
Okay, I promise you that like Guardians of the
Okay.
Galaxy and The Walking Dead season 3 and 4 came out after Life is Strange 1. Like it was in the thick of it. Trust me.
It's in the thick of it. It's in the
Into
thick of it.
That's so funny. That was in my head right away.
I have no
Damn
idea
you,
what that song
TikTok!
is.
What's that from?
I don't know what that is.
Damn it,
Never heard it.
What's that show, Greg?
Sort of like a kid's show.
It's a kid's show. We're in the
Okay.
thick of it. We're in the thick of it. I can't
Okay,
think of
before the
name of
listeners
show.
and
the
viewers
Backyardigans.
leave,
Backyard.
Oh,
Backyardigans,
because
yeah,
Brett
that's it.
because Brett Medlock isn't singing it. Sing it, Brett.
Yeah.
no, let's just move on to cleaning Laura Croft's house. How about that?
I'll clean her house.
Okay, stop. Just
Mhm.
stop. This is a
Can you
kid's
blow
show.
on your screen? Can you blow on your screen?
Yeah.
Can you poke her?
This
Can
game
you
is all
tickle
about
her in bed.
blowing on your screen, basically. Do you guys remember you could poke Jill in Resident Evil on DS? She'd be like, "Who the hell touched
What?
me?" Like
What?
No.
on Resident Evil DS, the port, you could like poke her and she would react.
How did you
on the
figure that
screen.
out?
Everyone knew. It was like all over G4. Come
did
on.
they?
Hmm.
Yeah. Like you could touch her and never mind. let's just let's just move on
You're
to
saying you just
cleaning
used
Laura
the tip
Croft's
to
house.
touch her.
The what?
Huh?
Okay,
Laura
stop.
Croft's house.
Power Wash Simulator on January 31st is adding Laura Croft's Manor, where you can clean it after something happened there. I don't know how it would have gotten as dirty as it's gonna get, but maybe she's into some crazy stuff. But it's gonna be filthy, and you're gonna have to go there and clean it all up for her. And I don't know, she probably doesn't have a cameo or anything. It's a weird crossover, and I just wanted to shout it out. Apparently, a lot of people love that game. I played it for probably an hour, but it's just not my style game.
She's a dirty girl, Brett. She's got dirty stuff all over the house.
Okay,
She needs all that clean.
Maybe-
we
I think
can't
there's
get
blood.
away from this.
The
These
dead
topics.
body of her butler that she locked into the freezer.
Yeah, in the freezer. That'd be funny. Like you open it and there's just a dead old man there.
Blood everywhere.
You have to clean
You know,
up his blood.
I played Power Simulator for like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. And like it was fine, but I don't know where like this like fascination is about it. Like I guess it's supposed to be one of those things that's like satisfying, but I don't know,
Yeah.
it just didn't click with me.
I was gonna
Well,
say
there's like a
most
fucking
people
simulator for everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say most
Yeah.
people I know play it to like relax. I think it is just like that satisfaction of like just cleaning and like seeing it all,
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
together.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I get like why people would enjoy it. I just don't get that much out of it,
No.
personally. Yeah. Now we're gonna move on to our little bonus topic for Brett Larson because I know he wants to talk about it. This is our non-Tendo topic, and everything for the rest of the show could potentially be non-Tendo. But let's get into it. The Last of Us HBO episode 2. Has everyone here seen it?
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we're not going to do any spoilers, but just give brief thoughts. Greg, what'd you think of this episode?
I thought that it had I felt very satisfied after the first one. So I had a lot of anticipation as to, keeping that bar high, what to expect next and what was going to happen. And like, I feel like, especially the first week going into the first episode, I was like, okay, like I'm just going to, try to pick out what happens, if it's from the game, if there's areas that look familiar, if there's scenes that look familiar. And I feel like they just keep nailing that. This week, I also found myself just looking at some of the shots, some of the scenes, and I'm like in my head thinking like, wow, this could be a pre-rendered cinematic in the game from the in-game engine, or this could be, did this scene happen in the game? This looks too much like a video game right now for me not to say like, oh, maybe this doesn't. But I feel like they've really filled in the blanks in terms of some of the backstory for characters. I'm already invested. I was invested episode 1, and like I don't know. I look forward to, I guess, watching a new series and not being disappointed every week, knowing that like something impressive is going to happen. So, and that's exactly how I felt after the second episode.
Nice. John, what about you?
I thought some parts were pretty exciting, like the monstrous parts.
Yeah.
I thought that unorthodox makeout at the end was weird and unnecessary.
No
just kinda
spoilers.
that
but,
was-
no
yeah,
spoilers,
yeah.
but yeah.
like
I know
yeah,
what you
like,
mean, John.
It was just
Mhm.
seemed like just dumb. Like
That-
I mean, there was
that was
no
the-
reason
that
for
was-
that to happen.
That was the
didn't
only
think so.
part of both episodes that I was like, okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
I think
right?
maybe over time it might be better if we get to know the virus a little more, because like maybe that person was like starting to change and they couldn't move or something because like the virus was stopping her from moving or something. I don't know.
I don't think so. But
Like
I think it's just going to be one of those weird things that we're just going to like look back at in
Yeah.
2 years and be
We're
like,
gonna be like,
yeah, that
okay,
was a
that's
thing
weird.
that happened.
Mhm.
So
I
yeah.
don't know.
I was just wondering why
It's-
I don't get kissed like that.
I was slightly aroused. No, but
Brett's shorts got shorter.
But I mean, like, I don't know, like other than that, I don't know, like it was fine. Like it was fine. Like I don't have strong feelings about it. Like I'm really just waiting for
opening-
episode 3. I'm
yeah,
waiting for
that's the one.
episode 3 because my critic
Yeah.
says
Yeah,
that's when it
that's-
gets
dude,
really
yep.
amazing.
Mhm.
So
John,
But
I
the
keep
opening,
telling
guys,
people-
the opening was amazing, though. Let's just shout it out. I think.
yeah,
It
the
was.
opening was awesome.
Oh, in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
they show how it started.
Don't
That's
spoil,
really cool.
for the love of God. How many times I gotta say it?
I don't know if that's
But
a
I will.
spoiler. It's
I
like-
will say the one thing that I do like I said about shots between the games, and I felt like some of the scenes that we saw in the second episode very much incorporated like something that's very hard to incorporate from a game into a show, and that is mildly like
Combat.
they're obviously they're gonna have the like kind of puzzle elements, and like how like some of those scenes you could tell were taken from puzzle levels or those
Mhm.
types of levels, or ones that you've seen where a puzzle opens up in the game. And I feel like that aspect is very hard to translate into a different medium like
right.
television. But I think they've like there's no, I feel like too there's there's never a point where I'm like, oh, this is CGI and it sucks, or like I'm like, oh, this is shitty CGI, and it feels very much like the best translation of like in-game stuff to cinematic television that we've seen in a while. And the curse is finally broken. They finally
my
broke
God.
the curse. God, if I hear
Guys.
one more
Yeah.
fucking argument about that, I'm gonna throw
There's
myself
never
off
been a
cliff.
curse.
There was-
I sent
there
that
was-
video.
There was never
so
once a
stupid.
good adaptation until now. It never happened.
Yeah.
Not in
Ever.
any form. Not in any form.
It reminds me of Jennifer Lawrence saying that Hunger Games started females in action films or something like that. It's like,
Yeah,
where have
give
you
me a
been?
gun.
Okay.
Brett,
But-
general. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mary.
I was gonna say really quick, relates like what Greg said, like taking like the puzzle elements. It was funny because at one point, it's not a spoiler, I promise, but like Joel is like moving a bookcase, and like in my
Pressing
mind, I was
triangle.
like, oh yeah, press and
Spoilers.
hold to move
Yeah.
the bookcase. But like
It's-
it was just one of those weird but random things that like my gamer brain was like, aha, I did that in the game. Like I
Mhm.
moved
Yeah.
a bookcase like from in front of a door.
So Druckmann actually he directed this episode.
Yeah, and I was gonna
And
say
so
that too.
It's like a freaking video game, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
you know,
like,
for
maybe
better or
that's why
worse.
it's
like-
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sneaking around the desk was so much like the game as well. Like,
Oh
It
my
did.
god.
those
It
combat
felt like a
Check
scenarios.
that out
level.
too, right? Yeah.
It felt like a level in the game.
Yeah.
I don't-
Brett,
I don't
general
think it-
thoughts
I
on the
think it-
episode? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you said Brett.
Yeah,
you,
like
you
what
can
are your
finish what you're saying, Greg, real quick.
No, I was gonna say like even just like the sneaking portion, I feel like maybe they've just nailed the camera angles of the game so it feels more recognizable in a lot of scenes, and maybe that's again where I get that feeling of the other elements coming into it. But
Yeah.
My main worry, and I was telling Brett this, was like, how are they going to give us a sense of travel? Like that they're actually making it somewhere. And they're actually doing a pretty good job. Like it feels natural. They're moving a lot.
the
They're
walking
getting
is
into...
so slow. It feels more
No.
like they're trekking than like
Well,
Walking Dead.
it-
They're like, I don't know.
If you remember in the game, they like skip from one part of the country to the other, and like you don't actually see that whole trek.
Yeah,
so
they
I
kept
imagine it's
doing
going to
that.
be the same thing.
Yeah, they're going to have to sooner or later, like do it. Unless it's closer, unless they're going somewhere closer. And they might have changed that.
No, I think it's still Salt Lake.
Yeah, still
I mean,
west.
I would assume.
But
But yeah, so I loved it, dude. I am from someone who just absolutely adores the game. I've appreciated both episodes. I like how they are true enough to the things that matter, but mix up a few things as well and just kind of keep you on your toes a little bit. So like my son watches it with me and he's always going like hitting my dad, that's from the game. And it's kind of cool. Like he loves the games too. So it's fun watching it with him. And it's kind of cool also seeing differences as well. And it didn't quite hit as many emotional highs as the first one. I think part of that was because the first one I didn't know what to expect, and it's like because it was so good, I was like I was almost like emotional that I was so happy that it was so good. But also that like that first episode, the part with Joel and his daughter, I mean that part just wrecks me every time I watch it. So I actually went back and watched the opening of episode 1 twice. And then I played The Last of Us Part 1 remake like 2 months ago. So I've cried at that scene 3 times in the last like 3 months.
Aw.
But yeah, that shit just ruins me every time I watch it. But this one still had its moments as well. And the moment, this isn't a spoiler because you know there's going to be clickers, but the moment you see the clicker for the first time and you hear that, it's like, oh shit, soon they are there.
Mhm.
They're coming. My dad, my son was like, Dad, the clickers, they're here. Yep. That's that. They did that. That whole scene was done so well. I don't know if you guys watched it, but I sat around after and they do like the behind the scenes and they show like how they made the clicker. And dude, it's so cool how they did it. Like just really impressive. And John, I keep like people at work talk to me about it because they know I love it. They're like, hey, did you watch that episode? I'm like, believe it or not, I have a friend who's his friend reviewed it and he told us that episode 3 is when it really takes off. So like if it's been this good up to this point, like I can't even imagine like episode 3 is gonna be just gotta be wild.
Yeah.
We shall
So
see.
I'm really looking forward to next week.
One thing that I really love is that they are beholden to follow the game structure. So it's like constant set piece after set piece. Like they can't go to a farm in season 2 and do the entire season there like The Walking Dead did. Like they have to keep moving. Like, and when you
keep
look,
this barn door shut.
and when
That
you
was the
have
whole
to-
season.
It literally was the whole season.
It was.
And when you look at the
God.
sets, you would think they were planning on staying there for a whole season because of how much work goes into these sets. Like they look beautiful. And just the tiny little details are so good. So I just wanted to shout those out.
The production quality, cinematography is such high level. It's
That frog on the
really
piano.
impressive.
That was awesome.
Like
That was
all
cool,
the little
actually,
details.
Yeah.
You can tell it's not fucking CW. You know what I mean? Like this looks, they put some serious time, thought, passion into this, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I could,
which
I could
is like-
totally. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say like which in comparison to like other shows and stuff that we've heard, that this director's coming over and they just didn't read any of the source material. They're gonna make their own and it's like how we know that shit comes out awful. Like it's not very hard to
Right.
stay true to the biggest like group of fans about a franchise that's getting translated into a film or TV show, and it's like you had to do the simplest of things is like add some salt and pepper to it instead of like reworking the entire thing or reimagining it into something shittier.
It's really crazy. Like they're staying so close to the source material while also finding areas to elaborate on and give us new little like bits and pieces of information that weren't in the game, but they almost add to the game. Like knowing how the virus started, now that's basically canon to the game. You know what I mean? And I said it because Brett said it earlier.
And
but yeah,
how
like
they
when
communicate, that's not a spoiler.
That's not in
Like,
the
finding
game.
out how they so that stuff too, like just little things that may not make that much of a difference, but like stuff that you didn't know from the game, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, like that's not even in the game at all. Like it's a totally different virus in the game. It's because they
It's
do the
totally
spores
different,
and
yeah.
whatnot. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't do the spores in the show. Now that
they talked about that
have
they talked about that on the behind the scenes where they decided to not do the spores completely. So that was kind of interesting.
Because they're right though. It wouldn't just be like in little like crevices in the dark. It would be all over the world.
All
like,
over.
You wouldn't be able to escape
just
it.
see it. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Like in a game,
I'm
you
kind
can
of
write
bummed
that
that
off.
I'm kind of bummed they didn't include that. Like I want to see some like gritty, torn up buildings where you can see it, and they have to put their mask on or make their way. It makes it more.
Well, Bill still has a
treacherous, their
mask.
journey.
We saw Bill's mask for whatever reason in the trailer.
That's because he's a crazy fucker. Who knows why he has a mask on?
So
They can.
the root thing and touching it, and then they know where it is miles away. It just now dawned on me why that actually bothers me. It bothers me because we just saw it in Stranger Things.
Oh, that's
like,
true.
Even if it's actually based in like real mushroom science in real life, it still feels like been there, done that to me. Sorry, this fictional show already did your science, nerds. Think of something
Yeah.
else.
Gosh.
Oh, they
I hadn't
did that.
even made
Why
that
can I not?
connection.
Why can I not remember that from Stranger Things? Was that in this
When they
last
go to
season?
the
was-
I
upside
think it's like a
down.
Vecna thing.
That's how
Oh
Vecna
yeah,
would
yeah,
find
yeah,
Yeah.
people and
Gotcha,
whatnot.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
But before we change the topic, Mary, I didn't really hear your general thoughts on the episode. What'd you think?
I love it. It's really good. And yeah, like the cinematography, like it feels like I'm watching the game come to life and live action in like a really good way. And I mean, we still have the rest of the season to go. I hope they didn't change the source material, but like y'all said, like the things that they are adding just benefits the story. Nothing's really like taken away from it or like really like distorted what the source material is, because the source material is really good. A lot of us agree that this story does not need to be tampered with, and so I'm hoping they just stay that course of like just do the story the way it is, you know.
It's the best story ever told in gaming.
No,
It
don't
is.
even start.
Also,
My-
I still
My
love Pedro
only gripe-
Pascal and Bella Ramsey
Yeah.
as the
No,
as like
Pedro's.
they're both
Pedro's
very
great.
good.
Brett brought something up that I didn't notice, but I wasn't looking for it. Apparently, sometimes some people that are critiquing him said that like sometimes his kind of
The
droll
accent will
accent will
change.
stop and then
It'll just
like he'll
disappear.
go back to it. And I didn't notice it just because I was trying to get super into the show and just like, you know, get into it. But yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch episode 2 and see if I can notice it when I'm just looking for that.
Joel's
But that's kinda
accent, the Texas.
Yeah, like it'll just randomly
Yeah, it's got
disappear.
that
Like,
southern accent.
Okay, but mine isn't always out.
yeah.
I'm from Texas.
Oh, when you just said Texas, I heard it.
Y'all.
I'm
Texas.
from Texas.
I'm
Texas,
always
yeah.
talk
It's
like
where I'm from.
Sounds like
Texas.
Sandy from SpongeBob.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why
I
you
gotta
mad
give him the
it
pass.
Slips
though.
out, apparently.
There's one really bad spot that actually Brett brought up, and I
Yeah.
went back and watched it where he says, or no,
They go back to his
Ellie
house.
says, well, what am I supposed to do? And he's laying on the couch, and in the game he goes, I'm sure you will figure that out. And in the show he just no accent at all says,
Yep.
I'm sure you'll figure that out. Like,
Yeah, like
his
almost like a
voice is
higher
way
pitch.
higher. Voice is way higher. I'm sure you'll figure that out. Like, that's what he
Yeah.
sounds like. I'm like, what the heck? That was not the same person.
It didn't even sound like him. It was so weird.
I
But
I
yeah,
give him a
that's-
break. He's been fucking fluent in Spanish in the show. Mando.
No, he's
this
been great.
one, like,
no, he's,
Oh, yeah,
he's
he's
been
good.
fantastic.
And
you're
he
gonna
does
bust
look
his
cool.
balls for him talking in a high pitched voice.
For that
It was
second,
just
though.
that
Cancel
one
him.
spot.
Cancel him.
It was
No,
just that one
there's a
spot.
few more. There's a few more. You
But
just
I know,
gotta
so
wait
anyways.
for him.
I appreciate him for being the single redeeming element of Wonder Woman 1984.
True. He gave it
Ooh,
his
yeah.
all.
I don't even watch The
Ooh.
Mandalorian. I just appreciate him for rescuing an absolutely awful movie.
Yeah.
I just appreciate him, but
I still
There you
remember he
go.
played the
That's
guy
fair.
that fought the mountain in Game of Thrones, and
Mhm.
that fight scene was dope.
HBO loves its Game of Thrones people.
It
They always
does.
keep
They
them
keep
around.
going back to him. They just
Yeah.
like, keep churning them.
They did the same thing with Ramsey. Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's talk about what we're playing. Me and Mary already talked for like 40 minutes on Fire.
Real
Emblem.
quick, there's actually some breaking news as of like 20 minutes ago.
Oh.
Justin
the
Roiland
newsbreaker.
resigned from Squanch Games.
Oh my God.
He
Ooh.
resigned back on Monday the 16th, according to the developer's social media.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay,
Adult
so he's-
Swim made the announcement, and now he's resigned.
Yeah. So
The
he's
game
officially
development.
out of the game, like literally out of the movie, the show business, out of the video game industry.
Right.
He's out.
Yeah. So for those who haven't been keeping score here, earlier today, as in like a couple hours ago, Adult Swim announced that
You got
they'd
fired.
ended their partnership with Justin Roiland for Rick and Morty at Adult Swim. The show is going to continue, but not with him. So they're going to have to like cast a bunch of new voice actors to replace all the people he voiced and all that.
Which was
And
the
it's-
most
Yeah.
Who
And
did he
it's
voice?
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Oh, he did both of them. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Oh, there's so many.
And like
I've
a
seen
bunch
so
of
many
side
people on
characters.
TikTok that could do just as good as him.
Oh, gee,
Yeah,
Rick,
it's whatever.
what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Brett's 90% of the way there.
And so that all happened as a result of charges that so the state charged Royland, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, it was sometime this month, for domestic battery and false imprisonment, both felony charges, of an ex-girlfriend from way back in 2020, and he's just not being
Oh,
charged
God.
for it. But this is, part of an ongoing process that we didn't know about till now. And so now all of a sudden, this is the fallout. So even if he's
Yeah.
completely innocent, and I mean, who knows, his career is irrevocably like altered by
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
So-
Don't.
I mean,
He
I'm
still walks away
wondering,
with millions.
is
yeah,
there
yeah.
a,
I mean,
is
he'll be
there a
okay.
universe? Is there a universe where he steps away from both of these things, clears his name in the next 2 years or so, and comes back to
No.
both? Do you
No.
guys see it
Be-
happening?
Unless
No,
he's
it's
unless he's
possible.
completely innocent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He
Well,
has to
that's
be-
what he
is-
means. That's what
Even
he means.
if he
yeah.
is,
Oh.
there's always going to be people that are going to be like, bullshit. I believe her story. I don't believe him. So there's always going to be a little bit of taint with his name. Taint.
It's always gonna be right.
Eloquently
His
said.
name is always going to be tainted to like a certain.
Your name's
degree.
gonna always be
Yeah.
y'all.
I'm on the seat of
Okay.
my edge after that one.
Yeah.
That's where the taint is.
That's
Oh man.
Anywho, so
I think
Yeah.
you meant his name would be tainted, like in general.
That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
but yeah,
Oh,
he's
I'm
gone
crying.
with Squatch, which is a company he founded. So that's interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
tomorrow will be the dawn of a new Roylandless age.
How would you like to get fired by the company that you founded? Be like, motherfuckers, I started you. I hired.
Well, measure to protect his
Yeah.
team, etc. So
Which is
Yeah.
good on him.
yeah.
Instead of trying to stick around like someone like Bobby Kotick, who just everyone hates, and he's like, "I'm not leaving. This is my house."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
guys.
good though. Like these shows have gone on for years, and they can continue to, produce. I mean, I'm sure Squanch Games has stuff planned for High on Life, and
Yeah.
I
that was
don't
part of the
feel like,
tweet, too.
yeah, like he's
Yeah,
gone.
I'm still looking forward to their next game too. They don't really
Good
need a
riddance.
voice actor because it's not like he was like developing the games. Like whatever they do next can still be really good.
Right. We'll see.
Yeah. So next up, we have John playing Ghost of Tsushima. How's that going?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Like I'm not
Hell yeah.
I honestly don't remember why I waited so long to play it. Like when it was first announced, everything, I was completely indifferent to it. And like even when it launched, I was kind of like whatever.
John, you're gone. You disappeared.
Your mic cut out.
I think he said he hates it actually.
No.
Check, check.
There you are. There you are.
You're back.
Check, check.
Yeah, we hear you,
Sure.
but now you can't hear us. Is that the
Oh,
problem?
but you hear me?
Yeah.
No, we do.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So no, but we have a really good writer, The Escapist, and he actually wrote an article that finally got me curious in the thing, and then like a year after that, finally playing it, and it's just really really good. Like I don't know, maybe I was turned off by the idea of having one more open world game because there's already so many I don't want to play, and even the ones I do want to play, I space them out, unless it's Yakuza, of course, because I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
But I've since the game came out, I've watched most or all of at least the black and white Kurosawa movies. So like I kind of have
That's
like
cool.
more
Yeah.
vocabulary for it now and all that. So it's a really good game all around. Like the combat's really fun. Like all the side stuff I've run into, like I've wanted to do. It's not like Horizon Forbidden West where there's like a million things on the map and I'm like, I don't care about any of it. With these,
Yeah.
like I'm like excited every time I find like a
Right.
new question
That's-
mark.
That's how
Even
I
if
felt
it ends
too.
up being like another Fox Den, it's like, all right, fine, I can do a Fox Den. Like it's been really fun so far. And
Did-
like, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the world is just beautiful too. Like
Yeah.
I've never taken so many photos in a game.
See, it's
Same.
funny. And I've said this before, like I'm really not a graphics snob except for a new console generation. And I feel like I'm still waiting for this console generation to begin years later. So like I want everything to be high-end PS5 graphics.
Yeah.
So I'm actually just kind of like whatever on the visuals in this game, honestly.
Yeah.
But on PS5, the load times are insane.
Dude, on
Yeah, it's
PS4
crazy.
they were too.
They
Oh,
they
really?
were like that on
Actually
PS4 as well.
crazy.
They're
Yeah.
like
This game
extra-
broke barriers for
Okay.
loading time.
On PS5, they're extra insane because from the PS5 start menu, you select the icon for Ghost of Tsushima. Within about 3 seconds, you are on the start screen. Then you
Yeah.
pick continue. Within another 2 seconds, you're playing the game. So you can
Yeah.
literally be playing this game from startup in under 10 seconds. Like that's so cool. Like
I
Yeah.
remember fast traveling in that game. And usually when you fast travel, you can like stretch a little bit. But
Right.
I fast travel and I'm like, oh shit, it's back already. Like I'm
Yeah.
almost not
Yeah.
ready for it.
yeah, nice. Yeah, on PS5, you're fast traveling in like 2 seconds or less. Probably less. It's probably literally more like a second and a half. That's really, really cool. And I love that. That really keeps you engaged. I think
The-
if I had to guess, even beyond the open world thing, probably the reason I waited so long to play this game was that I think, and I'm double checking now, I think the only Sucker Punch game I had ever played before this was, yeah, the original Infamous, which I didn't
Oh,
actually
wow.
like so much. And so I was just kind of like, maybe that just lingered in my head that like, it's the Infamous people. But
Hmm.
Ghost of Tsushima is awesome. So bring on the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett wasn't a big fan, if I remember, of the combat, but I loved
Oh,
how
I like the
you
combat.
depending on the enemy, you switched up your stance. I just
Yeah.
thought that was like a good way of mixing the combat up, and it just was, to me, it was like almost like strategic, and I liked that a lot.
Yeah, it just feels good. Like all of it really feels good and it feels fair because like there's ways, even if you're fighting like 15 dudes, like there's ways to win.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's cool. It's like empowering, even though you're not overpowered. So like, yeah, it's a
Yep.
really good balance.
I'm glad you're liking it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say
good
the
stuff.
opening for that game is probably one of my favorites in like recent like years of gaming because it's
Like
like
the
you're in this
battle?
you're in the cutscene and then the camera's panning down and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm playing now. Like it was
Oh,
just
yeah,
such a
yeah.
smooth
Oh,
transition from
shit.
cutscene
Yeah, it's really
to
cool.
like gameplay. It was just
Yeah.
like it was so fluid, it was so smooth. I was like, that was like a really like good moment to like start the game with, I think.
But you know
Yeah.
what game does it better, Mary?
Assassin's Creed. Is that what
This
you're
is
gonna
random.
say?
Lost Odyssey on Xbox 360. It does it so well in the
Oh,
beginning.
yeah.
It's insane.
Honestly, I don't
course it would be an
remember, but I
Xbox
probably
game.
agree anyway.
Didn't they
Of
re-release
course,
that
it would be an
too?
Xbox game.
No, it was just ported to. It's just the port of the 360. It's still
Lost
a 360
Odyssey.
version.
Yeah, it is the
Lost
360.
Lost Odyssey. I
Yeah.
can't think of that game.
It's
Yeah.
the
I
remember the
JRPG by
cover.
the
It's
a lot of Final
Mistwalker.
Fantasy people.
Yeah, it's from the creator of Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I,
Hironobu
I still need to get back
Sakaguchi.
to that. It was actually really good. I just haven't played all the way
Loved
through
it. It was the last good Final Fantasy game.
Really,
Even
More
though
or
it wasn't a
less,
Final
yeah.
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy 7 remake. Come on.
All right. Well, yeah. All right. I mean, like mainline numbered releases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see.
But yeah, Ghost
oh,
of
yeah.
Tsushima. Anything
Real
else on
quick,
that?
real quick. Yeah, I did want to mention that because of all the stuff I've had to edit over time, I actually more or less already know the end of the game. And I kind of know like a
shit.
major plot beat at the end of the first act too, but like, that's all right. Like, it's like because I know these things, it's kind of helping me appreciate some elements even more because I can see like how it's gonna be building up to that. So like, it hasn't
Yeah.
ruined my experience. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wish
Awesome.
that Sucker Punch was still making good games and not Ghost of Tsushima. No, I'm just kidding. But I did really love the Infamous games, all three of them. I absolutely love those games. So when this came out, I was super looking forward to it, and I like it. Like I don't hate it at all. It just didn't really wow me, you know. Like I played through it and I liked it, and I didn't really ever think about it again after that.
All right, that's
Um,
kind of how I was about Infamous, the original Infamous. I was like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I just
I
never
thought
thought
Second
about it.
Son. Second Son was pretty damn good. That was the one right
Mhm.
before Ghost of Tsushima. Well, not right
Right.
before, but like the most recent
it was
one.
Right.
Nowadays, you get one game from a studio every generation. So it was
Yeah.
a Ghost of Tsushima was the one PS4 game that we got from them, and then now their next game is
No,
going to be
that
the
they're
one PS5 game we get.
Infamous Second Son was a PS4
I
game.
forgot. You're right. I forgot.
Yeah, it's a PS4.
But they were very far apart.
Mm. Yeah.
Beginning of the console generation, and then literally at the tail end of
Yeah.
PS4.
Yeah, I looked it
Um,
up. 2014 and 2020.
Wow. So yeah, the next game roughly 2024, 2025.
Could be, yeah.
Wow. I mean, if they keep this game like this exact like combat and everything, just enhance it, they could probably get a game done a lot quicker. But they're probably going to add a bunch of unnecessary open world stuff, so it's going to take forever. Now, next up, we have Greg. You've only been playing Apex. What are you thinking? You're supposed to be playing something new. Wait, it's
So
the month is almost
disappointed,
over.
Greg.
Have you beaten anything?
You're
No,
supposed
but
to
I
be
will
beating
by the
one
time the
game a
month is
month,
over.
Greg.
I know.
You think you will?
I had to take a break, just health reasons and stuff, just kind of chill out for the week. But no, I started playing a little bit. They have so I mean, Apex Legends is Apex Legends, but they introduced a new like skill-based matchmaking system that I think has absolutely changed the game for the better. Matches feel a lot more balanced in terms of like teammates. Like I don't feel like I'm playing with somebody that's like super skilled and then me, trying to catch up or, but not being communicative in matches. I feel like it's very balanced now. Same thing with arenas, but they introduced a new mode. It's a hardcore battle royale. So during the match, you can pick up, the more damage you do, the more damage your armor can take as it evolves. So they stripped all that away. They don't give you any more like helmets for headshots, and it's basically like a reduced HUD, so you don't know necessarily where the circle's closing unless you look at the map. You only have white shields, and forget what the other elements are, but it makes it's much more. There's it's kind of like permadeath. Like it makes what you do, how you play that much more important. And I'm really liking the introduction of these new modes and stuff, because there's still one that they haven't brought back, and so they're using this time to like introduce new stuff. And I think by the time Apex Legends is ready to evolve into whatever's next, they're going to have a shit ton of maps, a shit ton of game modes. They're going to have a ton of skins, which they already do, especially like the celestial sunrise event that's going on right now. Ash has like a dope like snake armor and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm just really liking again where the game is going, where it's been, and just the evolution of Apex Legends as every week goes by.
Nice.
You're like practically an Apex Legends historian. You should write it all down.
It's like
Yeah.
a master
I have.
legend.
I've covered it. I've covered it a couple times.
I
I
always-
really want to do like some guides and stuff for it, because like I've read a couple that I'm just like, this isn't even a guide. This is like an overview. Like, where is the strategy here?
What if like the world exploded and all that was left was like a manual for Apex Legends, and the aliens came to Earth and that's all they found, and they thought that our whole world was like an Apex Legends. Like the
so they
whole-
try and
I-
recreate it.
I kind of wish that would happen.
But you wouldn't be there to see it. But yeah, he's all right.
Who knows? I'm just part of their simulation, part of the
Right.
alien simulation. Maybe I can see. It.
Right. That's
True.
right.
True. Then we have Brett Larson, who finally beat The Witcher 3. What a triumph. What a triumph.
It's been I honestly never thought that I would start that game again. Like I've told you guys before, I played it twice. And the second time that I put it down because I wasn't into it, I was sure there's no way I'm ever going to touch that again. And this time I did. I'm so glad that I did, because I had so much better experience with it. Even in the early hours when it was a little bit more boring, but I just went into it with a different mindset and beat it last night. I thought I was still 10 hours or so away from the ending. And my one friend, he's like, "Where are you?" And I told him, and he's like, "Oh shit, you're at the end." And I was like, "No, there's no way." And yeah, sure enough, within an hour, I had to beat the game. And
Damn.
apparently I don't know why, but I have the
You
worst
got the
luck
worst
with
ending
games.
as usual.
Dude, every fucking time.
You shoot the kid or what?
You shot the kid again.
Jeez.
I mean, I didn't do anything dumb like in Mass Effect 3 where I shot the freaking kid and got
Hologram.
like the worst possible, the hologram, worst possible.
And never went
ending.
back and played the
But I
last 10
did.
minutes
But
after
I
playing
did,
the
like-
entire trilogy.
Supposedly, I just looked it up. There's like a good, bad, and like the best ending, and I got the bad ending. Of course I did. Of course I did.
I'm pretty
So-
sure I just got the good ending, not like the best ending, but the good ending was really good. So you definitely missed out, as usual.
But
What do
but I
you
will
what do you
say,
have to
though,
do to
it's
get
not
it?
like-
No idea.
yeah, I have no idea like what. I'm sure like dialogue choices and stuff like that. Part of me thinks that some of the reason I didn't get that kind of ending is because I didn't do as much side stuff as I normally would on a game like this, because I was trying to knock this out before the end of January when like Dead Space comes out, and then in February like 3 or 4 games come out. So I wanted to try and make sure I'd finish this in time. So I kind of felt bad that I wasn't able to do as much side stuff because of that. But that being said, I still had a great time. I loved it. I'm glad I went back to it. And even the ending, while it was like technically the more depressing ending, it was still really good ending. And I kind of left on like kind of an emotional moment where I won't say what it is, just in case anyone has a hankering for playing The Witcher 3 and getting the bad ending. But yeah, it was good. I'm really happy I finally finished it.
Yeah, I'm really happy you played that. It's one of my favorite games ever, even though I probably couldn't tell you much about it now because it's been like 7 years and I don't remember that
I would
much.
be like, Brett, I'd be like, Brett, I'm right here. Where am I? He's like, I don't recall that part. It's like the biggest part of the game.
Dude, it's been too long. I'm sure if I like booted it up and I remembered all the characters and I saw their faces, I'd be like, okay, I remember what happens to you. I remember what happens to you. But
Now I need to check
you
your
probably
trophies
played-
to see if you beat it.
yep.
That's
Do
crazy.
it.
You probably played like hundreds of RPGs within the time that you've played that
Yeah.
Witcher 3.
I
That's
don't know
insane
about
to me.
hundreds.
Not
but
hundreds.
Definitely
I would,
tens.
over 7 years.
Not hundreds.
Not
Probably
hundreds,
like
man.
50 at the most. You know? Like, I don't know.
50, 100. Sounds about
Actually, I
right.
don't know. Maybe at the
You guys are
closest.
underestimating Brett. He beat 70, 80 games in the last 2
Yeah.
years. 70 this year, 80 of the last year. But
No,
of,
but it
of
was
those, how many
50
are
and then
JRPGs?
70. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I mean,
50 and then 70.
it was
Just
only
50. My bad.
the thing about JRPGs is I'm always in, or like RPGs in general, I'm always in the mood for them at the end of that year into the new year, and then I play like so many in a row that like I get burnt out, and then I end up playing more smaller games throughout the rest of the year, like action games, like I don't know, shorter games like BioShock and shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't remember what we were talking about. We can.
Like, it's been a weird start to the year for me. Sorry, this last thing. Me and Brett do this thing. It's not even really a competition, but we keep track of how many games we've beat, and then kind of like keep up with each other. I watch his list and he watches mine. And he's like, dude, have you not been updating your GG list? And I was like, no, this is literally the first game I beat all year. And last year I beat 41 games, and the year before that I beat 50 games. So like this is a really slow start, but that's a longer game. So I'm sure I'll knock out some shorter ones here soon.
I think I've beaten 4 games this year so far. So my goal is to beat 1 game a week again. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the year.
Jesus Christ, Fred is a fucking machine.
Still have a long way to go. I mean, I beat 2 big games. One of them I started last year, which was Elden Ring. I beat that this year, which was a long experience. And then recently Tales of Arise was game number 4. But I'm also at the very end of Gree or Gris. I don't know how it's pronounced. That's a very short game, and that's really good
Gris.
so
I thought it
far.
was Grizz.
I love Gris.
I forgot to add it to my games played, but that's really good, and I think I'm gonna beat it maybe like tomorrow or the next day.
I love that game. Yeah.
But yeah, my what we're playing this week was Fire Emblem, but also I beat Tales of Arise. Really enjoyed it. I think the story got better as it went on. Nothing amazing. It's no Persona 4 or anything, but I liked the characters by the end of it. There's some good emotional stuff, some really good music as well, and just like presentation in general when it comes to how they edited things. Like I'm big into editing. Like I don't know why it's so hard for a lot of developers, but like even little things like when the screen fades to black and then the music just cuts off bothers me so much. Like just like little things like that. So this game didn't really have any issues like that. Everything was perfectly smooth and fancy, and one of the prettiest games I've ever seen in my life. And I think it's a bit underappreciated. Like I didn't hear anyone talk about this game. It probably sold like 12 copies on Xbox, and that's where I played it. And I'm hoping that it goes on sale more often and people start recognizing it a bit more, because obviously a lot of work went into this game. And the combat's really fun. A bit repetitive, but a lot of fun. And that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else I wanted to say about it. The last third, definitely the pacing was the worst in the last third of the game, because just you're walking through these big temples and just getting in fights over and over again before you go and fight the final boss, which I was scared of because I was scared that I was going to be underleveled. But I pulled it off after like a 10-15 minute fight. And this has been Spot Dodge. If you made it this far, thanks so much for hanging out. It's been a great show. We talked about a lot of things like taints and The Last of Us, of course, and
Y'all.
And making out with clickers.
Yep, and I'm glad that we got to finally share our thoughts on Fire Emblem. I've been excited to talk about the game for a while, and I'm sure next week, by this time next week, we will have both beaten the game. So we'll give our final thoughts.
And I'll be next week. I'll be talking about the GOTY Game of the Year for Spoken.
Oh, are you gonna buy it? Are you gonna buy it for Spoken?
I don't know. I might. I'll do the
responsible
thing.
Too. I'll do the responsible thing and buy something that's getting 6s out of 10s because I'm just that kind of person.
You just can't help yourself. If it's PS5 exclusive, you just cannot help yourself.
Yeah, I just get a chub.
All right. Thanks a lot for hanging out. If you made it this far, please leave us a review on podcast platforms. It would really mean a lot. Still growing our audio feed. It's great that a lot of you tune in every single week. It really means a lot. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Everybody say goodbye. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Adios.